go with another extended project. This project honestly has taken longer than I would have thought. There's more to it. Just ripping it apart was tough. And I say ripping, I don't mean to say ripping because it's not like that. It's carefully taking the old cover off. And now we're on to the inside back. And the inside back is hand tufted, and we are going to be using a pattern. And yeah, you can use pattern on tufting, although originally when tufting was, I'll give you a little history on tufting. When tufting was first devised, it was used to enhance bland fabrics. We didn't have the pleasure of all this fancy fabric now that we do today. So in the old days, they were very bland. They were horsehair, they were flat fabrics. So to enhance that, the upholsterer was called upon to do these beautiful buttons and to do this beautiful tufting, which really did add to the feature. I suppose now with this beautiful print and the tufting, you have double. Some people think though you lose a little bit in the workmanship of the tufting with the busy fabric. So keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is I have the fabric cut, the inside back cut, make sure that we have our top. Boy, wouldn't that be something if you tufted the whole inside back and realized that you had the fabric upside down, which I can't emphasize enough, that we mark our fabric, right? We mark our fabric inside back. I'm sure that that's the inside back and that's the top. So here I go. Well, the other thing too, when you're doing tufting, you really have to find a time to do tufting that's quiet. And that you really have a reflective viewpoint when you're doing it. You can't be in a hurry to do tufting. Tufting is just, you have to slow down a little bit. You notice how fast I'm talking right now. I just had a cup of coffee, so I really need to slow it down a little bit before I start, because it really requires patience, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to line up, I'm going to eyeball this, okay? I'm going to be going right about here with my main motif. And now if you're not somebody that can eyeball, you could take out your tape measure. I do a little tape measure just for your own security. Say, let's just measure side to side to see how close I was. We got 17, 8.5, and we're right in the middle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is you always want to start in the center first. So I'm going to just take another peek back there to see where my buttonhole is, which is right about there. So the idea of tufting is to, you're actually pleating. So what you're doing, and you're always anticipating, you always start in the middle. So I'm going to start in the middle right about here. I'm getting my fabric, and then I'm noting my other buttons, which are right here, and more importantly, I'm noting the buttons down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull, and I'm going to work my little pleat over, like right over about here. So what I did was I made my buttons, and I chose the stripe for the buttons, all the buttons. You don't have to do that. You can use your own judgment on the buttons. To me, it's sometimes I just do an overall. It doesn't matter. This time I just did the stripes. So what you want to do is you want to cut a piece about 1 yard of the tufted twine, and you loop the button, and then you put both ends through your button needle. Okay, make sure that when you thread your needle that you don't thread too close to the button. You want about 4 inches left right here. Okay, so I really like my first button, which is, I'm just going to take a little look. Look, you have to have, from this button here, because it's the top button that I'm starting at in the middle, you need to project this way and project this way with the pleat, and you also need to project this way with a pleat, okay? Okay, that's ready for my button needle now. I'm going to go through here. And really, you can't back a needle out. If you're backing a needle out, you got to start the whole process again, because you're going to pull the pleats with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this through, right? And sometimes it sticks, so I'm just going to undo that. Okay, I got my first button ready to go. Okay, and I'm going to show you from the back side how we finish that off. We're going to take a little piece of cotton. We're going to do our slip knot. And on the YouTube, we have, on the other YouTube videos, we have how to make a slip knot. And I would suggest you go there. I'm going to show you on this, but we really slow it down on that video, how to make a slip knot. Go to a Broadway upholstery school and you'll see it. A slip knot's essential for tufting. You need to do a slip knot for tufting, and you need the right tufting twine. This is a nylon tufting twine. You're going to take a little bit, like a golf ball size piece of cotton, and you're going to put it in there after you made your slip knot, and then you're going to pull, and you're not going to knot this off yet. You're just going to leave it just like so, okay? Because you have to adjust all the buttons to one another. Let's just see how that looks. Oh, I like that. I think Clint is going to love this. Okay, so now what we're going to do is project to the next button down here. We got our pleat. We're going to work that later all the way to the top. But now we're focused just on our buttons here, not our exterior pleats. But you need to start them. You need to project them. It's called projection. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is now at the same time you have to make sure you have to try to straighten your fabric as much as you can. You see how I was going off here? Actually, a striped fabric is good to show you, because even if this was a solid fabric, you'd probably be doing the same thing. You have to go with your weave. You have to make sure your weave, if you're doing a solid, you can see the weave. Make sure the weave is going straight, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm adjusting that. I'm going like so. And now on this button, I need to project 4 pleats. 4 pleats. 1. Okay, I'm going right to here. You see how I'm getting the angle? 2, 3. Actually, I have to say, cotton cloth really lines up nice. So some fabrics, you're really fighting this. Okay, it wants to fight you, but you really have to make sure that you get your pleats going straight and your fabric straight, somewhat. Now we know that when we pull these buttons, our stripe's going to go off a little bit. We expect that, but we want the mainly to be straight. Okay, and I'm going to get this next one in. I'm ready for this next one. Okay, and the other one got stuck, so I'm going to pull this through here and just have that 4 inches. Those 2 twines being about 4 inches, okay? So now I'm going to pull this through. I'm going to hold this. Yeah, that pulled through much nicer. Going to turn this around. Now, for the benefit of the camera, I'm doing this, and it just dawned on me that in an earlier segment I said it's much harder to upholster pieces in sections and then put it together, which I still agree with, but for the camera and for you guys, I think it's very beneficial that I have a piece like this that I can be switching around and showing you the back side and the front side. So I'm going to do my slip knot. So essential to this. I'm going to insert my cotton. And I'm going to pull it, but I'm going to pull it taut. I'm not saying that that's the correct pull yet. And I'm going to just turn my button so that the stripe is up. Easier said than done. Okay, so we got our 2 buttons in. Now we're going to go for the next one. And we got a nice pleat there, and we got a nice pleat projecting over there. And then, you see, this isn't just going to fall for you. You need to work the pleats, okay? So if I just put this button in now, I don't have a pleat there. So I'm just going to kind of bring my fabric, work my fabric this way, and then see what it's going to look like down here, although I'm not ready for that button. And then I'm going to try to draw this over. This one's a little trickier, because I need to keep my stripe as straight as I can. That's good. I like that. So I'm going to take I'm going to note the stripe on my button a little bit more this time. I'm going to try to get it in with the stripe going the right way. I think that's going to be a little harder than it sounds. So we're right there. You're going to make sure with your eye that you're on a level plane with that button over there, okay? So there's a lot going on here. So it reminds me about teaching in a class, and the live class is coming up. Our students, if I'm showing a student this, we're going to be showing myself teaching a student, and she or he is going to be asking all those questions that sometimes I forget, to ask when I'm doing this by myself, like, why do the pleats have to be going down? Or why did you select the stripe for the button? Or what size buttons are appropriate? All those questions that I honestly, I've been doing it so long, I forget. Even though people say I'm a good teacher, I don't always, when I'm by myself, go over those. But when we're doing with students, it's going to be a great opportunity for you all at home to get all those questions. You're probably asking those questions now as I'm doing this. Well, how did you do that? Why did he start there? Well, I think the live classes will be answering all those questions. So you'll follow along in like we haven't decided, 6 or 8 weeks, and you'll like every Monday night, for instance, from 6 to 8 or something like that. We haven't really set the times yet, but you'll follow along at a really slow pace. I suggest that you start off slow like that. And I would even advise people who have been upholstering for a couple of years to do the same thing, to follow along slowly. We're teaching that with a lot of hand. There's a lot of hand teaching. Like we're not doing the staple gun with the beginner classes. Doing a lot of pin tacking with the 6-ounce tacks, which slows you up enough for you to understand exactly how to stretch fabric, for instance. So we're really excited about these classes coming up. So we have 3 buttons in now. I'm going to do this button now. I'm coming down here. Now you see how this pleat needs to be worked, although this pleat almost laid out perfect for me. And I will say this is not a perfect science. So this is hand tufting. It's not perfect. I mean, if we want perfection, we'd buy a machine done tufting that you get at a store, which, trust me, it's not as good as the hand tufting. Okay, so I like this. The only thing I don't like yet is this projection down here, the next buttons that we do down here. Okay. Oh, I'm really liking how this, people say he makes it look easy. This fabric is easy. And notice how I'm using the old holes, because I really liked, these are the original tufted holes. And the reason that this is working out so well is because of the work underneath, okay? There's a horsehair underneath here, which you cannot, remember I said this, you cannot do hand tufting with foam, period. Do not do it, you can't do it. You really need a strong, firm base, and that's the only thing that provides you with that is the horsehair. And then there's cotton over that. That's the only thing. Foam, manufacturers try to do foam and tufting. It doesn't work. Even the high-end manufacturers, doesn't work. Doesn't hold up. Of course, they don't understand. But we know all the old traditional methods of upholstering here at Broadway Upholstery School. We can't wait to show all you guys, because we really want the business to come back in a really good way. We want all those traditions. We don't want to lose these traditions. So stay tuned. Sign up. Hold on a second. Let me just get I'm going to turn each one of these buttons around for you to see what I'm doing in the back too. And notice how I'm not getting all my buttons intertwined through here. We're doing one at a time, because we don't want to lose the beautiful work that we have over there. If we keep going, and this is another thing. You need to make sure that your slip knot, your 2 twines are slipping. That's the idea of a slip knot, right? Yeah, I really slowed down that video. I suggest you go to that video. Slip knot, how to do a slip knot, and you can slow that down, and you can get this. I would have to say it's one of the. I would say you need to know a slip knot. You really know, even if you're not doing tufting. If you're a beginner, you need to learn that knot. Just do it over and over again. Sometimes it takes 100 times before you get it perfect. Some people pick it up really quick. We'll see. Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty. We're going to go to the next button, which is right here. Actually, let's go to the top one. Okay, so the top one gets a little pleat this way. And a little pleat this way. And that's it. Thread the two ends. Make sure you try to get it as straight as you can using your eye. Horizontally, you want it horizontal with the other one. I'll pull that through. Careful when you're pulling this. Sometimes it gets stuck, and it's a needle, so you don't want to get it. I'm just going to turn that one around for you to see. Okay. Got 5 more buttons to do. Okay, we got our pleat going down. We gotta get this pleat going this way, or start going that way, and get a little pleat that way. That's good. And pull that through. That in there. Make sure you pull the correct twine. One slips and one ties. I guess you'll learn that when you go along. Okay, so I'm going to thread. Okay, I think I'm ready for this one. Get that straight up. Turn it around. Make sure that slips. It wants to get caught on the cotton on the other side. So make sure you pull it back and forth before you know, because if you don't, your slip knot won't work. That one. That one's going that way, that way. Okay, after this we got 2 more buttons to put in. Then we're going to take a break. So I'm really concentrating on this, and it does require concentration. I would pick a good time to do this when it's quiet and you've got people bothering you, coming in on you. Okay. Two more buttons and we're done. At least for the tufting. And we're going to take a little bit of a break, come back and show you how to do your outside pleats, meaning the outsides to the being attached with staples or tacks to the outside to finish it off. One goes in there. Flip this. Make sure we get this two going here. This. Just grab some more cotton. And then we're going to one more button after this. Now I have to say that my timing on this is really fast. Don't let that fool you. I mean, some require, the way some upholsterers price out these is 20 minutes a button. We did not spend 20 minutes on these, but I have to say the point would be for me on this would be prep work is everything. If you're starting from scratch, and at some point maybe we will do that, we will show you how to start from scratch on hand tufting. Mainly what we find is old Victorians, if an upholsterer along the way hasn't removed the tufting and gone to a plain back, has the original tufting in it. Sometimes people just go over it and make it plain. It's a real blessing when you find that. So you always have that good base on antique furniture. But if you're trying to reproduce, you just want tufting, you need to do it with horsehair. It's the only way to do it. Foam doesn't work. We can show you how to do that at some point. But these went in really good because they were already prepped pretty good, and the fabric worked really well for me. This is the last button. So what I'm going to do is pull that through, show you on this side. When you pull a button through, make sure you don't have a neighbor that's over there or put yourself in the way, because what happens is this is resisting. You're going to follow through and you could get hurt. So be careful there. We like to give safety tips too. It's another thing when we're working with students, we really give the safety tips. So I'm going to make this last knot. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to go and have a little coffee or something and then come back and finish this off, okay? So a little tug there. And then before I leave though, one more thing. We're going to look at the buttons to see if any need to be tightened more. And the middle one needs to be tightened more. So I'm going to tighten the middle one just a little bit more. Okay, just to make them, they all need to be the same tension. I like that. So that will be it. So when we come back, I'll show you how to finish off this inside back. So back from the break. So I'm looking at my tufting, and the fabric is a very thin fabric. All fabrics will react differently to tufting. Everybody should know that. So this particular fabric, I noticed, I'm going to start the middle, this one up here first. Just see something here. And I'm going to see what happens with this, I notice, is that we're not going to get a defined, we're going to get a defined pleat in this area coming up. But we're going to lose it towards the back, which is fine now because it's not a heavy fabric. So I'm just going to get a staple in there, and if you guys can pin tack this if you're not sure, and I probably would suggest that you do that, but I'm positive that that looks good. So another thing I notice is that my fabric is going to wrap tight. There's not going to be another pleat coming up here on either side, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do though is focus on this pleat. See, I got a pleat coming down here, and I'm going to get that stapled to the back. And then I'm going to go to the other side. Try to work both sides, right? Try to work both sides. In other words, what I mean by that is, I'm going the opposite side. Don't work one side. Go to the opposite side when you're doing tufting, okay? So now I'm gonna see this. I'm gonna turn my button up a little bit, and I notice that I have to pull that button a little bit more, which is fine. I haven't finished it off yet. Pull it a little bit more. Yeah, that worked out good. Okay, and then I'm going to get this tufted. And staple. There we go. I think I'm going to work down here a little bit. So let's come down. So I'm actually I almost have to force a pleat over here because the fabric is tight. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to come up this way, and I'm going to get a staple back here this way. And then take your needle. You know what? A regulator would be the best instrument here. I'm just going to take my button needle. I wouldn't use a button needle though if I were you. I just don't want to get up at this point. So let's see what we got here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get this like so. That doesn't look so bad. Again, we're not talking perfection because it's handmade. Plus you're working with an old frame. I'm going to pull this button a little bit more. Look at that. See how nice that pleated for me? Okay, I am going to go and get my regulator over on the wall here. Of course, I don't have my... I need to go in the next room. I'll be right back. Ow, ow. Sorry, I had to go to the next room to grab a regulator. I'm going to show you the right way. The button needle you shouldn't use. The regulator is the instrument for working pleats, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to work this fabric up like so with the regulator. Look at that. Look at how that came out nice. That's so nice that I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to staple all this down. I like that. And look, this whole side's ready to be stapled. From that pleat down is fine. And now I'm gonna, before I go to the top, I'm gonna go on this side to see. Oh, we got a good pleat there. That worked out better than the other side. The other side fought me a little bit, and you'll find that. Yeah, that came out nice. So I'm gonna flip this around, and I'm just gonna staple that. Now for the camera, I'm doing this for the benefit of the camera, but I would normally put this on its side, but I'm trying to show you as much as possible. You know, that's the challenge, this type of work on camera. Okay, and we're gonna be bringing that down. Yeah, it's a challenge. Actually, I am gonna flip this way. Remember we have that problem of very little fabric, so when I cut this, we cut this close. Normally I wouldn't want it as close as this, but I'm really liking the way this is coming out. I really am. So now I'm going to work the corners up here, and it's going to get some pleating, and I'll show you. What we're going to do first is we're going to work to right about here, about 2 inches from the end, and then the reason we stop 2 inches from the ends, we need room to work our pleats. And again, you know, a student will ask that question. They're really good at asking these questions. And what I'm hoping with the live classes is that your question, a lot of your questions, or all of your questions, or most of your questions are getting answered live. So, and because it's such a slow pace, and I hope you're patient with that slow pace, especially you beginners. You know, there's no panicking. You know, you don't want to be rushing. See what I'm doing here? I'm folding that, I'm bringing that up, getting it as tight as I can, and then I'm going to get that stapled. And from this side, I'm going to start a pleat. You see how this is a little puckery there? And take my regulator, and I'm going to regulate that out. Look at that. I got one, and then I'm going to get 2 pleats, and then I'm going to get a 3rd pleat. Sometimes I roll a pleat the other way if it looks good, or if the fabric is dictating that, which I think it is in this case. I'm going to get another couple of staples there, and then I'm going to roll a pleat the opposite way. You can do that once in a while. And then finish that up. Let's take a look at that. Now the trick's going to be to get the other side the same, to look the same, with the same amount of pleats. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. Now at this point, I will take out a tape measure. Well, first of all, I'm going to bring this way, get a little bit, another staple up towards the top here. Then I'm going to get out my tape measure, and I'm going to measure from the bottom up to this first pleat that I did on that side. I'm not even going to trust my motif. I want to trust it with the measurement. So I got 30 and a half. 30 and a half is right about there. I'm going to get my first pleat in. And then I'm going to try to get a staple though, right up in there. And I want to try to get this pleat, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get this pleat the same. Look at that. Whew, I think I nailed that. We'll get another one in here, another staple back here. So I like that. And again, this is not perfect, but near perfect is what I'm looking for. So even on my second pleat, I'll take my tape measure out and I'll measure that. Boy, we're really getting into some detail here, aren't we? Wow. And when we're upholstering live, this will be fun because you never know what can happen live. And maybe that's part of the fun, if you want to call it fun. To have a staple gun misfire, as long as nobody gets hurt, you know, or run out of staples at a perfect time, or you're about to, you know, like right here, if I ran out of a staple, that would be a bummer, but that's going to happen. You know, somebody could come in on us, who knows, because, you know, this is we share space with a couple of other businesses here. So that's 2 pleats, and the third pleat was going to be that fold pleat back. I'm going to get another staple here. And then, whew, boy, we working on this one, huh? Oh boy, I tell you, I'm probably going to need to take a nap after this. That's when I know I'm getting tired. I just picked up the receiver for the mic instead of the staple gun. So there's one of those bloopers. All right, we're done. We're done with the inside back. So I think that looks really good. I'm really happy with that. I'm just going to do some finishing touches up, like with my regulator. I'm just going to kind of work some pleats this way and this way, just freshen it up a little bit or tighten it up a little bit. And then I'm really satisfied with this, so I might even take a couple of more pulls on some key buttons, like the middle one there. Let's just see how we do over there. Just look at all my buttons. There we go. I'm really happy with this. So the last step is going to be, now that we're happy with all the buttons, and then we're just going to tie each button off, okay, just like that, and that's it. And then you'll clip it back about 1 inch. And after we do that, so that's it. So there you go. That's the inside back. So the next thing we're going to be doing is the inside wings, and then those have to be, after they're upholstered, we're going to screw those in, and then we're going to do our outside wings and then our outside back, and we're finally done with this project.